Sorry about that. Got some kind of scratchy throat going on. I don't know if I'm getting sick or not. I thought I would sit and knit and we would chat a little bit. So, I've already started my knitting. So, grab whatever you're working on and let's get into it. This week for Awana, we have a fun little thing going on where everybody is supposed to wear mustaches. Well, as you know, many of you know, when I went to try to look for a mustache, at the normal, you would think that our Walmart would have packages of mustaches or some mustaches along the way. No, no such thing. So what I wound up doing was I ordered them online, and I got 52 mustaches. Now I did take, and I sent some of those mustaches to someone who, in one of their bag orders, because they didn't want stitch markers. So when I got those in, I was kind of being silly, so I sent her a couple of mustaches so she could wear those if she chose, or give them to her grandbaby, that kind of thing. So I've got all these mustaches, and I've decided I'm going to take them all with me and hand them out to the kids that don't have a mustache. Hopefully I'll have enough for those that weren't able to get mustaches. And so we'll see where we go from there, right? So that should be a fun evening. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We have a song. It's called the Spark song. And you can find the song on YouTube. It's called the Sparks Song Awana, I think, is what it says. You can go listen to the song that we sing each time before we start into our little group sessions. So, I don't know if the other age groups have a song that they sing. Who knows? I probably should look it up and see if they do, just out of curiosity, right? But I gotta tell you, when those guys are singing, they're children, so their pitch is higher than I can reach. So I'm trying to figure out how to sing it in a lower pitch. And with this gravelly voice, I don't know if it's going to come out well. But, that's part of the thing. So I will eventually figure out where to put my voice pitch at. Because I can't get those high pitches anymore. I think a lot of that has to do with the paralyzed vocal cord. Who knows, right? Well, and I got an email this morning from Premier. They were talking about knitted knockers. And, of course, they were promoting their yarns that they have for knitted knockers. And those of you that don't know what knitted knockers is, it is an organization that was started by a woman, Barb. Can't remember her last name. But when she found out she had breast cancer and had to have breast removal, if I remember correctly, really? Hang on. Cat's carrying off my glasses to play with them. So, anyway, she couldn't find a breast prosthesis that she could afford while she was healing. Many insurances for a long time. Sorry, I just watched him throw out a piece of food out of his bowl to fling it across the room to chase it and eat it. Cats. Anyway, she couldn't find a prosthesis that she could afford. Um, and also, while she was going through reconstruction surgery, as she was fighting with her insurance company to pay for the prosthesis. So, between her and a couple of friends, they developed a knit um, project and a crochet project, creating the portion of the breast that was removed. And by using fiberfill, she found that she could fill it fuller, lesser, depending on her reconstruction, whatnot. The material, because it's a soft cotton yarn that you use, was soft enough that it could be against her still tender healing scar, and she could wear it and go places. So, and it would look like she had natural breast. There are two breast forms that are sold through the Cancer Society, which some insurance companies pay for, some do not. One is a molded silicone form that you put into a mastectomy bra, which is basically a bra that has an area where you can slide that piece into it, and then, you look like you have regular breast. Yes, and he keeps continuing to do that with food. So, and then the other one is one that is filled with polystyrofoam beads. These are not the poly beads that many people use for amigurumi or things like that. This is actually a styrofoam, kind of like what they put in the bean bags. They're beads. So, and they have so much static electricity. So if you're trying to put them into a prosthesis and then sew the prosthesis closed so that it is, a designated size, it's pretty difficult. Now, in the manufacturing process, they use a machine to blow them in, and then they seal them up at a later time. So, but if you're doing it yourself, you've got to find a way to get it in there. And I've made a couple of those in the past. I used to do that for folks, but I determined that the polystyrofoam beads were not my friend, because what happens is kind of have to take like a turkey baster, cut off the very tip of it so that you can, and not the smallest, bring it down to the opening size of like a tube, but still leave a smaller opening. So you could put it into that breast prosthesis, and then you put the beads in and you use like a dowel that kind of pushes them down into the breast prosthesis. And in the meantime, you've got all these styrofoam beads clinging to your clothes, clinging to your hair, your hands. Cat walks by, it clings to the cat, And I determined, no, that's no longer an option that I want to make these. And so I quit making them. But I still knit and crochet the prosthesis. And so I noticed that Premier is promoting them, and they send you, to the Knitted Knocker site so that you can download the pattern or patterns so that you can make these for others. Send them to knittedknockers.org. And don't come at me about the name. That was a name that Barb and her friends came up with. The younger generation is a little more open about using certain words like that, because I found that, when we had done the article in the paper with the ministry there at Bald Eagle Presbyterian, the prayer shawl ministry, where we were letting people know that we were making these. I had a lot of negative remarks in the paper about it. And because the reporter used the actual name of the site, and she used the word knitted knockers for those who have had breast cancer surgery. And some of the older women had a royal fit talking about how degrading it was, that it was disgusting to use that term, whatnot. So I had answered, and they'd sent this, letters to the editor about it. So I'd sent in my reply, basically that this is the actual name of the organization. The woman who experienced breast cancer and could not afford the prosthesis. This is what her and her friends chose to name this organization. So the term was used correctly. And for those who are older and find it disgusting, keep in mind the younger generation has no problem using certain terms that you would not use to talk about your body parts. But this is a well-established organization. They serve millions around the world with what they do, and it is a worthwhile organization to participate and also to promote. So, yeah, and then it died down. These older people got a little off their high horse and realized, okay, when they went to see the site and saw everything that they do, teaching you how to make them, teaching you how to size them, and everything else, they were a little bit more, shall we say, at ease with the term. So, yeah. Who knew that that would cause a ruckus in a small town, right? And I tell you, folks, I live in a small town. It's a small town of about 5,000. When students are here, it may climb to a total of 10,000. I do think that they are growing a little bit simply because they have accepted quite a few of the immigrants, illegal immigrants that have been to come here. We do have quite a few women, people from Haiti here, who are trying to learn English. And so, yeah, it's kind of where we're at. That's where I come from right now. And it is a small town compared to the town that I lived in that was 50,000. So anyway, there was that debacle. But like I said, I thought that was interesting, and it just brought to mind, the whole thing came back to me about that. Now, I will tell you, outside my window, they are replacing some pipes. So they have a big hole dug in the corner, and they have all kinds of equipment there, and sometimes they block the road because the way that they're digging, there's barely enough road for one person to pass through. And when they have the dump truck out there and the second dump truck waiting for the first one to be filled, you can't get past. There's only one way up, one way down. There is no outlet to go any other way from this area where I live. So I'm kind of hoping that they will be finished by this afternoon, so I won't have to deal with that anymore. Hoping I can get out to get to Awana in time. Who knows? And last night they left the hole open. There were some sawhorses, the little flashing lights that were left out there. And I was glad about that, of course, because they had the reflective cones. But we do have 2 young men that when they are coming home, they are flying up this road. And luckily, no one landed in those holes. So apparently they paid attention to what the road was about and all that going on, which I'm awful glad of. So, yeah. I have been steadily working on things here and there, little bits. I have been working on making some scrubbies, and these are still have to weave in the ends, and these are just little squares that I crochet with the scrubby yarn. I think it's called Scrub It that you get from Hobby Lobby. I don't really care for the scrubby yarn from Red Heart. I don't really like the feel of it. It always feels kind of oily when you're working with it. And but I like the material that it makes because I use that to wash a lot of my dishes. So, of course, I have a girlfriend who knits a lot of scrubbies, and generally she gives me a scrubby for Christmas. So, I look forward to that each year because I don't have to make my own scrubbies. So what are you guys working on these days? Do you have any new projects you've started? I told you that I've been jonesing to start another project, and but I keep telling myself, no, your next project will be the tutorial that you are making for the crocheted shawl pattern I had written. So try to behave and follow along in the right way, right? That's not always easy for me, to be honest. Because I think what happens in my mind is I see all these projects that other people are making, and I want to get started on a new project. And I don't know what that's about. I don't know why I don't feel like I can just stick with just one project. And I have to tell you, I admire you folks that work on one project alone and do nothing else. I find that absolutely amazing. And kudos to you guys for being able to do that. I don't seem to be able to do that at all. And I don't have any, I don't have a problem with people that do that. I just find that interesting that that you guys, some of you are able to be monogamous and to do just one thing. To me, that's just absolutely stunning. I do wish I had that problem. All right, folks, I need to cut this short right now so I can add the battery because I see the battery flashing. Be back in just a second. All right, I'm back. Didn't take too long. And I keep telling myself I'm on a bit of a time crunch today, but I need to remind myself to slow down, take things a little easier. And I'll tell you why I say I'm on a time crunch today. Of course, it's Wednesday as I'm recording this, and I have a wanted this evening, but I also need to clean up a little bit and then also sew finish sewing some projects, well, cutting some interfacing for the projects that I'm sewing so that I can get those tote bags out, those kind of things. And, but I need to clean. And for some reason, I cannot get the Roomba to connect to the internet. And I have tried everything under the sun to get it to connect, and it will not connect. So I'm not a happy camper about that because, I spent quite a bit of money on it, and now it looks like it's a worthless piece of machinery. So the next option is actually to go online and see if there's something that can be done. It worked perfectly before, had no issues with it, and I don't know what happened. It just seemed to happen overnight. It quit working. So, yeah. Although it still lights up, it charges, the whole 9 yards. But that means I have to clean everything the hard way. I kind of use it to clean up the fur, mostly. So now I'm going to have to run a dust mop through the house to get those little fur tags around. So I can get those all cleaned up and then, do the mopping bit. So, yeah, I find it kind of frustrating. But, used to be just broom and mop were good enough, but, the reason that I need to also clean is because with my BSF group, we have someone who has joined the group who is not real versed in the Bible. She is struggling, and she is finding that these lessons are hard. So she was asking if we could get together and kind of work on it together, some of the questions. So we had determined one of the gals offered, she cleans the church that she goes to. She'd offered that church to be used on a Friday at 1 o'clock, but we would have to leave by 2 because of her son goes and donates plasma. So, and it takes a little while for them to get down to the plasma donation center. I'm not sure if they go to State College or if there's one in Williamsport or not. But that's kind of what her son has been wanting to do to help raise money. Because the job where he is at, he's laid off right now. So how about that economy? Thought there were jobs. And he's been looking for another job in the meantime and can't find another job. And there are a lot of there are quite a few factories around here that he could probably get hired on. But then again, he also has the issue of he doesn't have a vehicle, so, he can't really drive to them. But what I find funny is the one plant that he probably could work at, he's probably only about 6 blocks away from, so he could actually walk to it. He has yet to apply there. So, I don't know. Interesting. So anyway, what I did is I offered up my home on those Fridays because the one girl, she had made a statement about she thinks maybe she needs more than an hour. What if we need more than an hour? So I've offered up my home on that Friday so that we can work on those together and to help her to understand a little bit more about the Bible and to do a little bit more reading in the Bible. I have a friend who also said that she does I think it's a 3-day or 3-year reading plan. But she also follows, and I don't know who it is that does this, but it's a man that follows that reading plan. But then what he does is he'll do the reading and then he will discuss about what it actually means. And you know what? I did not do what I needed to do. So, not sure how to do that. Guess I need to undo this. And you know, that's the thing I distaste about doing frogging knitting. It's harder to frog knitting than it is to frog crochet. So I need to frog this whole row while we talk. And you can just sit and watch me do it while we yap. So anyway, that's part of the reason I need to clean. The other reason is I haven't cleaned this week at all. And normally I do it, Monday through Wednesday is normally my day to clean the house. And I say that because it takes me that long because, generally what I do is I will sweep and mop the rooms. And so generally what I do is I will sweep and mop the 2 smaller bedrooms and the bathroom, and then the craft area. And then the following day I will do like the kitchen, the living room, and the master bedroom. And then the last day I will do the my closet, because I walk through my closet quite a bit. My closet and the laundry room and the last bathroom. So, and of course, cleaning the bathrooms, you got to do all that. You got to do the toilet, man. Of course, that's no fun. Who enjoys that? I don't. But I do it anyway, and then, of course, where the cats have put their little smudges for their noses and whatnot on the windows, I've got to clean those. And I do those that last day that I do my little cleaning routine. So, yeah, my cleaning routine got off this week because of all the things that I was doing or needed to do. So, it happens sometimes, doesn't it? And I wish I could afford a maid to come in and clean. That would be great. I laugh. I was telling one of the teachers at the high school, I said, I know you always have the seniors do a senior project. If you could have a senior that wanted to learn to clean houses, I'd be willing to offer up my house. They'd come once a week. So, so that is always great fun. And like I said, it takes me quite a bit during the day to get it done. Of course, in between there and the parts of those days, I'm also sewing, I'm also filming. Lots of times it's just a matter of filming for the the Bible readings, because I do the daily Bible readings. I try to stay a week ahead on those, but sometimes I get behind. I'm only a couple of days ahead, so then I try to do a mass, quite a bit at once to get caught up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, and I tell myself, you can do 2 readings a day and still stay ahead. But the problem is sometimes I just don't feel like doing it. We all have those days, don't we? Where we just kind of want to sit and veg out. I know I do that. I have noticed also some of the newer trends for the fashions. I had watched a video talking about one of the main video designers who basically says she is a Satanist, and that's how she comes up with these designs for her runway. And I thought that was interesting because one of her runway shoots, most of the models have put contacts in their eyes to change their eyes to look like there is no eye color whatsoever. Those that could not put in contacts because either they had prescription contacts or whatever were wearing sunglasses. So I did find that rather interesting to see that, and then see one of the fashion shows that she has done. And, on my Facebook page, I'm always sharing those fashion shoots because I think they're ridiculous. I don't know anybody that would go out in public in those, and I'm always looking at those models thinking, girl, you need a hamburger. Man, you need a hamburger. I mean, they all look like they're those starving, some of those videos we've seen from the starving children in Ethiopia. That's what they remind me of, minus the flies. So, and I know they have to keep slim, and I think some of the things that they do to keep slim are kind of dangerous. So there's that whole issue with that. I am getting used to the CPAP machine. Finding it a little easier to sleep, but I still am having those days where those nights where I'm sleeping and I'm woke up because the air is being forced out of my mouth as well. So I'm not sure if that's because the pressure is too high or what. But of course, I don't have another opportunity to talk to the doctor until next Friday about that. We're doing a telemed to discuss it. I know I've already met the Medicare requirement. Like last night, I went to bed early because I was really tired. I think I'm trying to catch a cold, but I'm not real sure. Throat's kind of dry and scratchy. But then again, I'm on a Facebook group for CPAP users and support. And I'm seeing a lot of people talk about that just in general. So, which makes sense because you have all that air blowing on you. The mask that I have has these nasal pillows is what they're called, that go up into your nose. And I can tell you right in here, it's still extremely sore. We're coming on 3 weeks now. So I kind of figured that my body would somewhat adjust to that, but it has not. So that is one reason I'm asking for a different mask. I do have a friend at church that was telling me she had tried one of those. She couldn't stand it. And we were talking about waking up feeling like you're being suffocated by air. She said, yeah, she said, in her younger days, she's now 73, but in her younger days, she used to skydive, and she said when you're skydiving, that is exactly how it feels as you're coming down. You feel like you are suffocating, in a sense, with too much air, because the air is just blowing up into your nose and your face, that kind of thing. She said she did change to just a nasal mask, and that helped a whole lot instead of having that feeling of the air constantly blowing up into her nose with the nose pillows directly into the nose. There is another lady at one of the other Bible studies that I go to was telling me that she has a nose pillow that's kind of rectangular, has these indentations, but there's nothing in there other than you place it up under your nose, and then it basically almost like vacuum seals to your nose as the air is blowing during the night. And she suggested I try one of those. So, of course, those are a couple of options to try. And of course, you can only change mask every 30 days. So, of course, I'm waiting for that 30 days, which is Friday. But I can't go up to get a mask. At least I'm not sure I can. But, because I believe the other mask, you actually have to do some measurements. The mask that I got came with all 3 different sizes. I don't think the rest of the masks do come with all 3 sizes. So I think that's why you actually have to measure. But, yeah, we'll see. Life when you have sleep apnea, isn't it wonderful? And I don't, mine is, what do they call it? Chronic obstructive sleep apnea. And it's not really that my body stops breathing. I just don't get enough oxygen in when I'm sleeping. So, yay me. Ooh. I just remembered we have our senior meal this week. So I probably need to change the time on that Bible study. Good thing those things come to my mind. Right? Maybe we need to move it up. Have to figure it out, won't we? Have to send that to the group. Determine what they want to do. Because I'm already signed up for that luncheon. And it's just a nice time of sweet fellowship with the rest of the folks in the church, So that's always a very nice, comfortable opportunity to sit and talk with other folks that you may not normally get to talk with. So, yep, I have decided that I also want to try pickleball. So I am looking for an area here where they do some pickleball. I think the only pickleball that we have in our area that they do at the senior center is actually on Fridays. So that kind of throws a wrench into everything else as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do that. But we'll come up with something, right? But hopefully they do it another time of the week so I can go in and learn how to play it, because I understand there are some different rules with it. So that might be a fun thing to do. I haven't been going to my drawing class lately, and I wanted to get back into that, but I don't know how I'll do that or not. So, kind of working on those options to look at. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on in my life these days. Crazy, isn't it? Sometimes I think it's too full. I don't have enough time to do what I want to do. But that's okay. At least it keeps me busy and out of the bars, right? So have any of you tried any of the new yarns that are out? I know there were some new yarns out by Hirschner's for Christmas. So I'm curious if any of you have tried those yarns and what you thought of them. I kind of, when I'd gone online to look, because seriously, I am trying not to buy any new yarn. Of course, I fell the other day with accidentally getting those yarns at Hobby Lobby, but I'm actively trying not to because I have so much yarn, and I actually need to start using it up rather than going hog wild and buying even more yarn. I think mainly because hoarding is a sense, and sometimes we hoard things out of fear. Sometimes we hoard things because there are other things going on in our life that we're not real sure of. So, yeah. That is not something I want to get back into the practice of doing. I would like to stop that kind of nonsense. So I'm hoping, I can stay true to that mission that I have. I have been talking to you a little bit about Operation Christmas Child. I know that I've done that past year and this year. And I do want to impress on people. I have been looking at some of the people's posts on Facebook. I am on a group that does Operation Christmas Child Sew and Craft. And what I'm seeing is a lot of the people that have gone to the distribution areas to help. Basically, what they're doing is they're opening up the boxes. If there's donations in them for the shipping, they pull those out. And then they set the box out on a pallet, to be ready to be put on a pallet to be packed and shipped to whatever country it's going to. If they're working on, let's say they're working on boxes that are to go to Saudi Arabia. I don't know if they go to Saudi Arabia. I haven't looked at the map. But if they did and they weren't allowed to have Barbie dolls, then they would make sure that they would remove all the Barbie dolls out of any of those boxes and put something else in its place if they have filler items. And a lot of people forget to put in school supplies. And many of these kids in these other areas cannot go to school if they don't have school supplies. So please always consider putting in pens, pencils, a notebook. You can get a spiral notebook in there. You can kind of curl it around, put the pens, pencils behind the notebook in that corner of the box. If you put pencils in, make sure that you get some sharpeners. Many times you can find pencil sharpeners for $1, or two for $1. So consider doing that. That is one thing that I like doing when we go to the bin store, is to look to see if they have any school supplies, especially sharpeners, because lots of times you can get those for 50 cents for 2 or 3 or a whole pack of them. I know lots of times during Christmas they will have those Christmas packs that you can get 4 to 5 in the Christmas packs. So if you do Operation Christmas Child, on a yearly basis, I always try to do it on a yearly basis, and I always challenge myself to add more boxes each time I do, because honestly, these children only get one box in a lifetime. They do not get a box every year. They only get one box during their entire lifetime. And it can make a big impact on these kids to know that someone in some other part of the country is not only praying for them, but also sending them a box of love and thinking about them and their needs. So, what are you doing, Goofy? He's staring at his water bowl, just staring at it. God, cats are weird. But anyway, consider making sure that the box is full. They did say that many times the boxes come through and they're not full. Add socks. Add flip-flops if you have them. If you've ever watched any of the videos online at Samaritan's Purse with these kids opening these boxes, the joy in their faces for getting a t-shirt, getting socks, getting flip-flops, a flashlight, simple things, that we just don't think about. And I know on one of those, the lady that had come and talked to us and provided that workshop that I went to last Saturday, there was a little boy there that had a green notebook, and he was just waving it around because he was so thrilled he could go to school. He had a notebook, and he kept saying, "I've got a notebook, I've got a notebook, I've got a notebook." So if you do participate in that, please consider. Yeah, well, the video stopped because the camera stopped because we reached the limit. So I don't know where it stopped at. I didn't go back to look, so I'm just going to tell you. Little boy was thrilled to death that he had a notebook to write in. So if you are doing this, please consider doing the, making sure that when you do fill box for Operation Christmas Child that you have it completely full. As full as you can get it. Like I said, it's once in a lifetime. They get these, and it can impact them and give them encouragement, ideas in which ways to grow themselves, even sometimes to come up with a way to not only help the people in their country, but help the other children that they see as they grow older. So do consider doing that. And we'll talk about more things you can add in. And like I said, a t-shirt. Some of these kids go to schools where they have to wear a uniform, basically. So a t-shirt is a great gift because they can wear something in their downtime when they're not in the school, that kind of classroom setting. Because many of these schools where they wear uniforms after they get home, they change out of those uniforms. But it gives them an opportunity to dress into something different. So, yeah, there are a lot of ideas. Sewing kits, using the prescription bottles to make a sewing kit. Basically, with that, you would put inside your prescription bottle, you could put different, just a little bit of thread that's wound up or smaller spools that could be used. A small pack of sewing needles, scissors or nail clippers. Nail clippers are something that are great to put in there as well. So, and then on the top, you would put a little bit of stuffing on the top of the lid. Put a piece of fabric over it, glue it in place so it's a pin cushion, and then you could actually put in a couple of extra pins to hold their sewing project together. And if you are considering doing a sewing project, consider putting in some fabric for them to actually sew, to make something. And it doesn't always have to be a large, amount of things to be sewn. It could be something small, like a fat quarter, a couple of fat quarters, so they can maybe make a purse or, doll clothes, who knows what kids come up with their imagination. So please do consider, if you are doing Operation Christmas Child boxes, to actually fill these boxes. I do see that the Boggy Creek, they are still continuing to do a lot of those new patterns. Different podcasters are sending in their links to Lynette Charmed Grammy Crochet, and she has a playlist specifically for Boggy Creek blanket patterns that you can do. Like I said, you can always do a lot of different patterns on your own using the stitches that you know. You start with your blanket, if you're starting to make a rectangle, of course you could start with the granny rectangle, normal, or you could start with anything, just a plain crocheted rectangle. And then do some different stitches along the way. You could always do a V-stitch, a couple of rows of V-stitches, change it out then from that to granny stitches. You could do shell stitches. There's just a lot of ways that you can actually make blankets. Don't be afraid to try and use the stitches that you know. And if you have stitch books, don't be afraid to take those stitch books and figure out how to use that in your pattern. If you've got a stitch pattern, say it's 6 plus 1 is the multiple, and you're going along and you've already made your base. Let's say it's all just been double crochet for about 6 rows to build a plain piece for your rectangle. And then you need to start using that stitch pattern. Well, you don't really need the plus 1 because you've already got the plus 1 and you've started that pattern. But then when you start doing your 6, you'll do 6 along the row and then do whatever it is for that stitch pattern. Maybe there's some chains after it, and you skip so many, and then you go along. You come to the end or the corner, you don't have enough. Figure out how you can finish that corner. Maybe you need to pull those stitches out. Maybe you came up to it and you only have, let's say, 4 stitches, and you need 6 to finish that corner. Well, maybe you could add 2 stitches in the corner. That'll make your 6. Do your chain for your corner stitch, and then start your pattern with 2 of those, 4, and then your chain, skipping those, and see if that works. Sometimes it's just about experimenting, working with those kind of things, but definitely don't be afraid to try out making your own patterns, using your own stitches to get those things done. So, yeah, I do know that I have been finding a lot of fun doing those different things. And then I don't always write them down. If you want to write them down so other people can have a pattern to follow, go right ahead. Generally, when I am creating a pattern, I'm doing a row, and then I will write down the row as I have done it, or even as I'm doing it. And then I'll go to the next row. Or if I'm going to repeat that row, I'll say, repeat that row. So there are just a lot of ways that you can do things. And like I said, you could write those patterns down if you want to. But and I think that's what a lot of pattern designers do. They sit down, they look at the structure of an item. Other patterns that are already printed out there that are free. Like if you're trying to determine how to do a shirt pattern, look at the schematics of the patterns that are, at Yarnspiration for shirt patterns. Download those schematics. And what I mean by that is the picture of the shirt, and it tells you how many stitches for the shoulder, not stitches, how many inches for the shoulder, how many inches for the length of the arm, how many stitches, how many inches for the length of the pattern, what it is across, those kind of things. And you can from there determine how to create your own patterns for your own clothing designs if you want to, both knit and crochet. I do know someone that she had one favorite shirt pattern that she used to use, and basically what she had done, and this was, I believe it was a t-shirt that she used, and it became threadbare. So she took it apart at the seams so she could use it as a model for her crochet and knit pieces. So she would crochet her pattern, lay it down, see if it fit that shirt pattern, continue until, she got to the points where she needed to decrease or increase or whatever for the pattern. And that is how she made a lot of her clothing that she knit and crochet. So be a little adventurous in your crochet and your knitting. For those of you that are just starting, that still is a great option for you as well, to learn how to knit and crochet those kinds of items. Clothing items, we always tend to think they're harder than all the other. They're really not. And I would hope that any of you that have followed Jeannie over at On the Hook Crochet, she has given away many of her patterns totally free. But she teaches how to create those patterns for you yourself, And she may use a certain pattern stitch, but you know, many times you can use a different pattern stitch with that same piece of, that same yarn you're using, that same pattern that you're using as your basis. By all means, do not be afraid to give it a shot and try it out. Crystal does the same thing. Teaches you over a bag a day, teaches you how to make that pattern for your size. So, and a lot of that is using a type of schematic in a sense to determine that. So, and of course, important things to know are what your measurements actually are. That's pretty helpful, when you're determining what you need. And how to go about creating that schematic. So, yeah. Boy, I just went off on a lot of tangents today, didn't I? See, that gives you a window into my mind. Sometimes it goes off on different tangents. I'm not focused on one thing. That's why I say I have ADD. Of course, I always call it craft ADD. Because I can't determine when I want to get on to another craft. That kind of thing. So, anyway, I think I'm going to close this out for now. We've chatted for quite a while, and I will see you again soon. So in the meantime, everybody have a blessed week, blessed day, and remember, don't let those donkeys and elephants drive us too far apart. There'll be another election in 4 years. All right, see you guys soon. Bye.